Yeah, you're correct. If Anthony Joshua won, Anthony killed this guy. Listen, a lot of questions, blah blah blah. Only one my answer. Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. First.
Yeah.
Jack Paul, it's sportsman, YouTuber, showman.
I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right, and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get demolished. He's going to get demolished.
Usyk didn't whisper. He issued a death sentence, warning that Jake Paul isn't just outmatched, he's in real danger, because Joshua's power is the kind of force that can change a man's life with one clean shot. And Usyk said that the $50 million purse might end up funding Jake's rehabilitation, because stepping in with a heavyweight who lands like Joshua opens the door to injuries that don't heal, and fans everywhere are wondering if Jake even understands the gravity of the storm he's walking into. And stay with me, because later, I'm going to reveal the one expert who says this fight shouldn't even be legal to sanction. Tommy Fury doubled down on the warning by reminding everyone that if he, a far smaller fighter with far less power, could beat Jake, then Joshua would flat out destroy him, adding that Joshua's jab alone hits harder than most fighters' power shots, and that Jake has never absorbed anything even remotely close to that level of punishment. And trust me, you're going to want to stick around, because I'm about to show you the exact moment this narrative turned into a full-blown crisis for Jake's team.
Yeah, you're correct. If Anthony Joshua won, Anthony killed this guy. Listen, a lot of questions, blah blah blah. Only one my answer. Anthony Joshua is Olympic champion. First.
Yeah.
Jack Paul, it's sportsman, YouTuber, showman. Rolls Royce. Fiat. Listen, it's true. Yeah, I'm not. Типа я не обзываюсь.
I have nothing better in mind.
Yeah. It's just true.
Brendan Schaub jumped in next, saying the pressure isn't just on Jake, it's on Joshua too, because if Joshua doesn't destroy Jake inside the distance, the backlash will be brutal. The credibility of elite boxing will collapse, and fans will question everything about Joshua's dominance. And Schaub warned that letting Jake survive too long will make Joshua look weak, which means both men walk in carrying more weight than they signed up for, and do not blink because the next segment reveals Eddie Hearn's coldest, most ruthless statement of the entire saga. Eddie Hearn fired back hard, saying Joshua will end the fight exactly when he decides to end it, that this matchup isn't competitive in any reality, and that fans hoping for an upset are ignoring the massive gulf in power, skill, and experience. And Hearn said Jake will be taken apart at whatever pace Joshua chooses, making it clear this isn't a battle, it's an execution scheduled by the minute.
But if I can beat Jake Paul, then excuse my French, what the Anthony Joshua going to do to Jake Paul? I think my dad said that AJ could beat him with his prick, and I completely will back that up. Even if AJ had a broken arm in there, it still wouldn't go past a minute. To be quite honest with you, and as a safety aspect, there's no way that fight can go ahead. At the end of the day, my God, how good does it make me look? He gets beat by Jake Paul. Well, that automatically makes me two-time heavyweight champion of the world, doesn't it? There's no proper way. I've got to laugh about it. How are we even talking about this? He got his nut boxed off by me a little over 2 years ago, and now all of a sudden he's talking about fighting Anthony Joshua. It's like, come on. Like, you can't be serious. He can't beat me. I'm not Anthony Joshua, am I? So it's just ludicrous. It really is.
Hearn then escalated the threat, predicting a finish inside the first 4 rounds, explaining that Joshua's speed, timing, and raw strength will overwhelm Jake instantly, and that their strategy is brutally simple: apply early pressure, trap Jake on the ropes, and end the night with ruthless efficiency. Because this isn't a war, it's a short, violent assignment designed to be over long before Jake can breathe. Robert Garcia backed up the danger narrative while still giving Jake credit, calling him braver than nearly every celebrity alive for accepting a fight that 99% wouldn't dare touch. and Garcia said that even though Jake will almost certainly lose, maybe violently, the money he's making makes the risk worthwhile, reminding everyone that even a knockout comes with a life-changing payday. Joe Rogan took the danger to an entirely new level, explaining that Joshua's punching power is the kind of heavyweight force that ends careers, and he said Jake is walking straight into the most dangerous night of his life, with a size gap, experience gap, and talent gap so wide you could drive a tank through it, and Rogan made it clear that when Joshua lands one clean shot, the fight, and possibly Jake's entire boxing future, could be over instantly.
And it's such a disservice to the sport of boxing and to the actual fans of boxing if Anthony Joshua doesn't go out there and absolutely dominate Jake Paul. If it goes to decision, if it goes past 6 rounds, Houston, we have a problem. Boxing, we have a problem.
Rogan went further, revealing that Joshua cutting weight doesn't weaken him, it makes him scarier, faster, sharper, and even more lethal, and he warned fans not to be fooled because a lighter Joshua is a nightmare, better movement, better timing, and a higher chance of a devastating early finish, meaning Jake isn't just fighting a heavyweight, he's fighting a heavyweight who's been upgraded. Ryan Garcia echoed the alarms, saying this fight could physically change Jake Paul forever, warning that when a natural heavyweight who has fought the best lands clean, the damage can be permanent. And Ryan said physics don't care about confidence or hype, and Jake is stepping into a level of danger he may never fully recover from. Simon Jordan then blasted the sanctioning bodies, calling this a humiliating moment for boxing, saying Jake is being put in preventable danger, and predicting a demolition that regulators will not be able to morally justify after the fact, saying the system failed Jake long before Joshua lands that first punch. Chael Sonnen crushed the pullout rumors, saying Jake cannot and will not back out, because he's the promoter, the funder, the architect. He built this event from the ground up, and if he pulls out, he destroys his own empire. So Jake is locked in with no escape, no excuses, and no exit door.
He's mad as a hatter taking the fight. The fight will end whenever Anthony Joshua wants the fight to end. He's getting a near career high payday. Thank you, Jake Paul and MVP, for the opportunity. How could we turn it down? I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's fight of the year. I'm not going to tell. I don't think it's. I'm the only person it's dangerous for is Jake Paul.
John Fury sealed the verdict, saying this won't be a challenge for Joshua, just a light workout, because Jake built his confidence on smaller men, retired fighters, and guys who don't punch like true heavyweights. And Fury said Jake will enter believing he's ready, and then learn in seconds the brutal difference between influencer boxing and world-class heavyweight destruction. Subscribe to get more fast-paced breakdowns, complete fight storylines, and expert opinions on the biggest matchups in combat sports. Topuria even claimed he had playfully smacked Tsarukyan before, and that Tsarukyan laughed like a scared kid instead of reacting.
Respect the balls on the fella, but don't start talking to me about, is there anything in the contract where you have to take it easy? No, in fact, exactly the opposite. We're going to actually go in there and get this done in double quick time, destroy him, get on the plane, and then go home for Christmas.
Tsarukyan's response was immediate and lethal, calling the claims pure desperation and telling Topuria that if he really wants to know what a slap feels like, they can settle it in the cage anytime, any place. And then came the dagger. Tsarukyan embraced the duck, insult, and hurled it right back at the champ with a new nickname that blew up online in minutes. Stick around, because in the next 60 seconds, I'm revealing the exact reason the UFC might actually prefer not to book this fight next, and it's way more controversial than you think.
I gotta give credit to Jake Paul. He's a crazy man. He's a crazy man, but he's making a lot of money. You know, I remember in the 90s growing up, everybody was saying, would you get knocked out by Mike Tyson for $1 million? And we all said yes. So this guy's probably gonna get knocked out, but he's making probably $50 million.
Here's the truth. Despite all this chaos, Topuria hasn't defended his belt once, and the UFC is quietly floating names like Paddy Pimblett and Justin Gaethje ahead of Tsarukyan. Why? Simple, those names sell bigger, and Topuria knows it. Topuria even hinted he wants to jump to welterweight next, which sounds ambitious unless you realize it might also be a convenient escape from the division's most dangerous challenger. But the MMA world isn't buying it, and the pressure is building. Sean O'Malley came out and straight up said the UFC might be protecting Topuria from Sarukian because stylistically, Sarukian might actually be the guy to dethrone him.
Problems. That guy, he just has to touch you once.
Shit's going down.
He's so different than anybody else in the division. Like, he knocks everybody out. Everybody hits hard. They all hit hard.
But
O'Malley didn't deny Topuria's knockout power, but he said Sarukian is the nightmare matchup nobody in the division wants to deal with. Georges St-Pierre added gasoline to the fire by naming Sarukian one of the best pound-for-pound fighters alive right now, putting him in the same conversation as Makhachev, Jones, and Pereira. And if that wasn't enough, Khamzat Chimaev jumped in and called Sarukian the best fighter in the entire lightweight division, saying he should already be treated as the rightful next title challenger. But Sarukian's road hasn't been clean.
He's so dangerous, man. It's like you're dealing with a guy who's an Olympic gold medalist, and he's enormous, and he's got vicious knockout power, and he's got immense amount of experience at world-class levels. Just think about what we said earlier. Fought Usyk twice, fought Andy Ruiz twice.
He lost his original title shot against Islam Makhachev due to a last-minute back injury, a move Dana White wasn't happy about, and when Makhachev later vacated the belt, Sarukian was quietly pushed aside as Topuria claimed gold against Oliveira.
And there's some sort of a rehydration clause. Listen, kids, it ain't gonna matter. You know, there's not a chance that Anthony Joshua is not going to just lose the weight beforehand. He's not going to come in drained. What he's going to do is just do extra cardio, and that's just going to make him more dangerous. He's going to be terrifying, and he's going to have a lot to prove. He's going to be very angry that Jake Paul wants to fight him. Very upset that this YouTuber who's fought Tommy Fury, who's a legit boxer, and, you know, a couple other guys that were legit boxers. That's it.
Now Topuria sits on the throne, chest out, chin high, convinced nobody in the division can touch him, and blasting Sarukian online only fuels that confidence.
Yeah, man, my honest opinion, I think that this has been a misstep from you know, Jake. I think he wanted to make his partners at Netflix a little too happy, and he's gonna walk into it. But like, look it, he loses to AJ. Where does he go from here? You know, like, who does he fight? You're gonna go back down to 135?
The problem is not that he loses to AJ. The problem is the way he's gonna lose to AJ might be life changing.
Right.
You know, so that's the real issue.
It could be life changing in many ways, right? Physically.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Sarukian keeps doing what he does best, winning fights, calling out champions, and forcing the UFC to acknowledge the contender they've been trying to stall.
I know the money's there, but does ultimately boxing get damaged?
Well, I think so. But I think boxing damages itself left, right, and centre. But I think the reputability and the credibility of some of these boxing sanctioning bodies is poor anyway. But I think it does get damaged.
Even if it's an exhibition fight, which it might well be.
Well, then what's the jeopardy in that? If it's an exhibition fight, which it shouldn't be, if it's a proper fight, then Jake Paul is going to get demolished. He's going to get demolished.
If the UFC wants spectacle, Sarukian waits. If they want the rightful challenger, the fight is already written in blood.
A lot of you believe that Jake Paul is going to pull out of that fight. Might even do it the day of, correct? Correct? Okay. Who would he pull out to? He is the promoter. Who would he call? Does he send an email to himself? Does he send a text message to himself? Does he schedule a meeting, come in and sit down, cross the table and look in the eye himself? Like, it's the part that is the most fascinating about the whole thing is that Jake would be the one to be the skunk at the garden party. It's his money that has brought us to this point.
And after everything that exploded in Qatar, the rivalry between Arman Sarukian and Ilia Topuria isn't hype, isn't build-up, and isn't speculation. It's the next war the MMA world is begging to witness.
But Anthony, listen to me. Don't take a dive with this Jake Paul, mate. Do not do that, not for $1 billion, my pal. Don't do it. Don't do as the others have done. Do not take dives. If he fights, you knock him dead as a nit, and good luck with it.
Tyson says he's got to bet £1 million on Jake Paul knocking out Joshua.
This is what I'm saying. How's that work? He can't finish. Anthony Joshua could knock Jake Paul out with his. So if it goes any other way, you know.
You give me a headline there, by the way.
If it goes any other way, you know it's fixed, don't you? Enough said. Enough.
I give 100% respect to Jake Paul, but that's a dangerous fight for him. He probably gets knocked out, and I'm not trying to be a hater. I'm not saying nothing bad, but Anthony Joshua is Anthony Joshua. You know, he's multiple-time champion, Olympic gold medalist. You know what I mean? The last time somebody stepped in the ring with him that didn't have that much boxing experience was Ngannou, and you've seen what happened to him. Yeah. But big respects to Jake Paul. It's gonna be a good card. You know what I mean? It's a big fight, and it's a good fight, man. I give 100% respect to Jake Paul for even taking that.